From Carolla One Studios and Gina's house and Brian's house, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, the author of Billion-Dollar Hollywood Heist, Houston Curtis. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, Jordan Harbinger drops by, and Dave Dameshek's here for good sports. And now, at this point in the quarantine, Sonny has been playing Fortnite for 4 fortnights. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get a mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for hitting the share button on your phone. We love that about you. Right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian?
Hold on. Oh, man, my drop went away. Had a great one all ready to go.
Adam's on the phone.
There's
yeah. You know, interesting that Lynch went with a Fortnite reference with Sonny at the top, because right at the top of my list, I wanted to talk about video games. And
I knew it.
the reason it's at the top of my list is my daughter yesterday, Natalia, set her mind on, and her friends, they said, we're going to walk a marathon. We're going to walk 26.2, I guess it is, miles.
In one day?
In one day. They said, we're going out. I said, well, geez, that's going to take 10, 12 hours. They said, yeah, well, that's what we're doing. So her and 3 of our other friends, so they're 4 girls, and they didn't go, in a straight line. They just circumnavigated the neighborhood for hours, and they had a little pedometer, whatever exercise app, whatever it is that kept track of.
I hope it's not called a pedometer.
Yeah, what were those things?
It's a pedometer.
Pedometer.
A pedometer sounds like
I
something
know.
else.
Pedometer. How would you spell that? Would it spell differently? Anyway,
No, it's probably
we'll
the same.
figure it out. Pedometer. So they went out and walked it, and they had the app on the phone or whatever it is, or the Fitbit or whatever they had. And they were out all day, and they came home, and they had covered 20 miles.
Whoa.
I know. I thought that was really impressive.
That's fantastic.
And I told her how great that was. And then I sort of talked to her like, are you guys going for the marathon next time? She's like, yeah, we're going for the marathon, 26 miles. And I was excited that she'd done that, and she'd with all her friends, and they had a little, group cheer in the street or something. And then I thought about it, and I saw her in the morning, and I said to her, she did it the day before yesterday. Well, she did it yesterday, and then I saw her this morning. And I said to her, this is you and your girlfriends. And she said, yeah. And I said, how many? And she named her friends. And I said, okay, there's 4 of you, and you guys all just walked 20 miles. I said, what's going on with the boys? None of the boys. So Natalia has been getting together with her girlfriends for little exercise things or walks or whatever. I'm not sure about the science of the distancing. I'm sure it's an attempt, but once you guys all...
she's very concerned about that.
She is, until the trail gets narrow and they all kind of file in and walk up the hill huffing and puffing for a mile, and then right at that point, she's concerned with getting up the hill. So it's like, you realize there's not much of a science. Like, they're doing social distancing, but at some point they're jumping up and down and hugging each other, and then they're back to social distancing. Like, it's really not a hard science. But anyway, I said to her, all you girls are out doing things, like jumping in the pool, doing your 20-mile walks, doing your like exercise routines in the driveway with your yoga mats and stuff. I've not heard hide nor hair of the boys. What's up? What's up with the boys? When I was 13, you couldn't have stopped me. Look, if you would have said no wrestling your friend for 2 months, that would have been devastating. If you would have said, look, you can go in the pool, you can play Marco Polo, you could even have chicken fights. You can watch movies, you can throw the ball, you can shoot the hoop, you can play horse, you can do whatever you want, but no wrestling. I would have went, I can't make it that long. I cannot make it that long.
You can pee on each other, but from 6 feet apart.
Right, which was doable for us.
We could do it.
Which, again, was just every other day.
So I said, what is up? Why are all the girls getting together and the boys aren't? And not only are they not getting together, they don't seem to have the will to get together. Because the girls, obviously when you have the will, whatever you want to do. Look, if you're a school teacher and you're getting paid to stay at home, you don't have a whole lot of will to open the school. If you have a candle shop in Encino, you have a lot of incentive to open. So obviously from one side, you're hearing, hey, let's open it up. Their side's like, whoa, cool your jets, So if the boys had the will, they'd be figuring something out. There's no planning and no scheming. And I said, why? And she said, video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, video games? Really?
Yep.
Yeah. They all play video games.
Yeah.
And I said, but do the girls play video games? She went, no, we don't play video games. They play video games. She didn't use this word, but they're satiated. They don't need. They have a simulated version of one another in some alternate universe where they are on headsets talking to each other, completely digital, and their belly's full. They don't have a hunger. They don't have a desire. It's good enough. And I thought, Jesus Christ, like. I've never been a big fan of video games, but this is the first kind of concrete kind of A and B experience. And I, who normally have a pretty good head on things, when I asked Natalia, what is it? Why are all the girls getting together and none of the boys getting together? I wasn't prepared for that answer. Videos. We don't play them. They do. That's it.
Gamers are largely more male than female. The statistics bear that out. And it's interesting. I wonder if Natalia's too young or not, because it feels like texting is more of a girl thing. Like just the nonstop texting. Like the guys I know don't really engage in it. It's a text here, a text there. But Christy constantly going with other girlfriends. I don't know if Natalia's at that age yet. I don't know if she has a phone yet, but I feel like texting is that version for girls who are of a certain age.
Absolutely. But, and she does, but there's still something going on, which is the boys do not have a desire to get back together. And the video game has sort of taken the place of each other's company to a fair enough degree where they just don't have it. And the girls evidently have it big time because they do not play.
And it's not like back in the day where you're at home, playing Mario, you're playing against the computer. They're talking to each other. They are playing each other.
Right.
It's not like they're in some alternate universe alone. That's enough. They're still talking shit to each other.
It's a very interesting first step into the sort of shallow end of sort of virtual friends and reality and really even needing to take the goggles off and leave the house. I mean, it's a very early step. Yep. Natalia will have a very strong social instinct when she's 25. She'll want to go out with her friends and go out to eat and have all these things. Yeah. The boys are being stunted a little bit, like that gene's not going to be as strong for them. And, and there we are. I just thought I was proud of her for doing her 20 miles, but I was very interested in, and her answer was very matter of fact and sort of bang on. She was like, video games, they all play. And she was like walking. She didn't break stride. And I was like, you guys, you girls play videos? No, we don't play. And it walked in the next room. It's like, we just got our answer. Yeah.
And unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for Sonny, I did read a headline yesterday, I can find it, where they are now working on real, those real dolls, those sex dolls that simulate breathing. So they seem even more real. So Sonny's Saturday nights are planned.
God.
Did we talk about this on yesterday's show, or was it Christy who was telling me about this, about the restaurants that are opening with mannequins? It's like to make it less awkward. Like less awkward? This is needlessly elaborate. This is disgusting.
Yes, it's creepy. There's even that I believe it's in Japan. There's a restaurant that'll sit a giant life-size teddy bear at the seat next to you, so you don't feel alone or uncomfortable while you're eating alone.
That's off-putting.
Advertisement of a teddy bear sitting next to you.
Yeah. Did it say what color the mannequins were? Because sometimes I get that black couple next to me, and it really stifles my conversation,
Depends. If you go to Roscoe's.
I have pictures. I'll put them
speaking of black and food, I love confirmation. Max Patty may be able to find one of my saved or favorited tweets, but it was I don't know why, but Red Lobster is just a restaurant where black folks eat at a much higher level than they do at, Golden Corral. I don't know what it is. There's something about Red Lobster. I went to a Red Lobster once, and just a lot of black people eating there. Now, or as One of my friends would call it Red Schwarze. But either way, it just attracts. And I don't think we need to be pejorative about this or go down some sort of racist trail. I just think there's certain, if you go to certain casinos, Asians are attracted to certain games. You know what I mean? And if you go to certain restaurants, certain groups are attracted to certain foods. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It just is. It would be confusing to me if every restaurant was exactly the demographic of the city it was in. You know what I mean? That would be confusing to me. So Red Lobster attracts the blacks. And I saw this thing trending, and it said Red Lobster, and I just wanted to click on it just to see if it had anything to do with anything. And it was somebody's tweet, and it's like a meme of Denzel Washington, like laughing. And I thought, all right, confirmed. Oh, I'm good.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry, I hate to go all millennial on your ass. You've seen this meme before. Please tell me yes. When something is trending, Adam Carolla or Red Lobster or anything, people will tweet the Denzel grasping his chest in relief as if, oh my God, I saw this person trending. I thought they were dead.
Yeah. I have seen a million of kinds of tweets with lots of different folks that are in our universe, but white and black. But Denzel, it's not exclusively Denzel. I've seen ones for, I don't know, Homer Simpson or whatever. Like we've all seen a lot of them, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, but for what Brian's saying, it's like if you see any celebrity trending.
At the risk of...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, if you see any celebrity trending, like let's say, I mean, this is going to be the worst example, Betty White, let's say she was trending and you click it, you're expecting to see a bunch of obituaries and Betty White died at the age of whatever. Right. And then, but usually if that person is not dead, Denzel is one of the first memes to come up because it's a sigh of relief, like, oh my God, thank God he's not dead.
Nothing to do with black and white.
Was he doing that? Was he doing the sigh there or
the
laugh there?
So because what happens, Soup Plantation closed down, all these restaurants are closing down, so you see Red Lobster trending and they're going to click thinking, oh my God, Red Lobster is closed down.
I understand the joke. I'm just saying, I've clicked a lot of these and seen, I don't know, various people, Guy Fieri or something, or various people. I don't do it enough to get the Denzel repeat action, I guess. So if it is, then it could have nothing to do with the color of Denzel.
I don't know, because the tweet was like, oh, y'all got me again. Like it's very Ebonic in the language. So I'm thinking maybe that's why you associate.
When's the last time you heard that word?
Easy.
Well,
am I not allowed to say that?
No,
what
I'm saying is the black guy used the black guy for Red Lobster.
Yeah,
that happened.
Yeah, it was clearly a black guy who used Denzel to do it, which just seemed like a little black on black crime for me. But no, I'm saying that's a popular meme, and so a red-haired guy could have used that meme as easily. That's what Brian's saying, right?
Sorry, I don't know if I'm on delay or not, but yeah, it's a very common meme. Like Chris said, it's used whenever somebody is trending. Or something. It happens to be a black guy talking about Red Lobster. Total coincidence. If it was Olive Garden, someone would have posted like, saw Olive Garden trending. Thank God, they're grasping the chest in relief. Thank God they're not closing.
But I do feel like I've hit Betty White and hit some of the other ones that were trending and didn't get that one. I've gotten other versions or other memes.
I see memes all day, all night, 24 hours a day, and I'm not super familiar with this Denzel one. This
is a very, very, very common meme because you're going to get about 1,000 tweets tomorrow saying this happens all the time.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying it's weird that this isn't one that I'm like Homer Simpson going into the bushes is once every 3.5 seconds, but this Denzel one I just don't come across very often.
Well, either way, maybe it was the aforementioned Ebonics that were at the top of
it. Okay. But also, and what happened, the reason why it was trending is there's a big Mother's Day fight at a Red Lobster.
With white folk. With white folk.
Oh, my God. I've never been less correct in my entire career.
I thought that's where you're going with this. The twist.
When did this hit?
This is Mother's Day,
Mother's
right?
Day. Yeah, this is
Mother's Day.
The twist
Mother's Day.
It's a fucking Karen going after played the video. She was like,
oh, God. Oh, I have seen this. I didn't know it was a Red Lobster.
Hey, what's going? Get my motherfucking money back. You will get it. Get out.
Get out! Get this bitch off me! No! Get out! Get out! Stop it!
All
Get
right.
her off me!
Wait a minute. The guy's wearing a LeBron James T-shirt.
He is.
That's
Back on track.
That is a Red Lobster?
Yeah.
Whoa, wow. All right.
That's why it was trending.
I saw a little of it, but I didn't see where it was at. All right, scratch everything I said in the last 8 minutes. All right. So let's see. I wanted to talk about one quick thing, and then we'll bring on Jordan Harbinger to talk a little about lottery tickets. Two things to keep in mind as I was thinking about metaphors for safety. I was thinking about this. I've done different kinds of car events, and I'm going to sort of weave it into where we're at in Los Angeles and many cities as well. Which is, there are levels of safety kind of depending on what the activity is. So, like, for instance, if you live in a nursing home or you work in a nursing home, we need a lot of real strict rules for you if you're in a nursing home, or if you live with your elderly grandparents, we got a bunch of rules. Now, my son shouldn't have those same rules when he wants to go to the beach with his friends. That's kind of what I'm saying. And
we know your son's not going to the beach with his friends.
Virtually.
A virtual beach.
Yeah.
He storms the virtual beach in Normandy.
Yeah.
They're going to invent a friend, they say soon, that breathes.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking about, for me, so like when you do an automotive event, there's a version where you go down to the track, you're wearing jeans and a T-shirt, you put a helmet on, and you go for this sort of ride along on Willow Springs. The car doesn't have a roll cage. It doesn't have a fire suppression system. It's like, we're going to do some hot laps in this street car. And you may wear a helmet or you may not wear a helmet. It's just, you're going fast, you're in a fast car, but it's not a race, and it just doesn't have the same dangers. It has some danger. If the car could go off the track, it could roll. It would be nice to have a roll cage and a fire suppression system and a helmet on, but this seems reasonably safe to go out and do this. And then there's another version where you go do like the Toyota Grand Prix, and they put you in a car that's been prepared, but it doesn't have the full cage, and it doesn't have some of the things that the full race car has, because it's not quite as dangerous as a full race. And then you do a vintage race, and that's a different level of preparation and safety. And then you do a professional Trans Am race, and that's full lockdown. There's nets going everywhere and rollovers and cages and fire suppression systems. You have to wear a Hans device. They time you getting out of the car. They literally have a marshal show up at your paddock. You have to get all bolted into the car with your 6-way harness and your net up and your helmet and Hans and gloves and everything. And the guy takes a stopwatch and makes sure you can get out of the car in less than 30 seconds in case there's a fire. So you have to like get the net down, get out of your harness, get your helmet off, get out the window or whatever it is. But the point is that is a high level of danger in that particular race, so they have a high level of safety. And I haven't changed. I'm the same person. One is going with Tommy Kendall and doing some hot laps at the track, and we're joking around, and he's driving, and whatever. So it's a lower level. So it's less mask and less social distancing and less, we can't reopen the schools, or you can't lay down on the beach. Like there is a commensurate amount of sort of safety for the amount of danger. You know, if you go into the guy who's flying a fighter jet's wearing a full pressurized suit and has the oxygen and everything like that. But the commercial jet, you're wearing flip-flops and cargo shorts. Like, that's how we run society. I'm just saying we have to take a little of that and kind of apply it to where we're at in general. You can't say you're going to get in a full fire suit, helmet, and Hans device to just climb into a car. It's what car, how fast is it going, and what are you doing with the car?
What's the risk?
Right.
Commensurate with the risk.
Right. I was thinking, you have pictures of the restaurant, the mannequins. You know what struck me is I Am Legend. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
He would set mannequins up just to feel like there were people around.
Right. This always feels macabre to me.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It's very haunted.
Whenever there was like one of those 70s movies, like Trapped in a Department Store, James Brolin is trapped, he'd be creeping around and you'd hear something break and they'd go tight on a mannequin's face and make like a sting on a noise. It's creepy. Mannequins are creepy to us.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't want to see mannequin outside. I don't want to see mannequin in a department store, but I definitely don't want to see one outside of a department store.
No, unless they can breathe, and then we're banging the bejesus out.
Yeah, and in that case, it's game on.
It is game on. All right, we'll talk to Jordan in a second. Let me pull this up. You should also know that when we talk to Houston, what did I do with Houston's bio? No. Oh, I buried it up here. Yeah, this guy from Molly's Game, or a character.
The real life Molly's Game. He's not from the movie. He's from the Underground Poker Game the movie was based on.
Sorry, yes, the real life. Really interesting. But the thing that's funny about this, I'm reading down his bio, facts, creator, executive producer of over 100 direct-to-video pay-per-view specials, including Ghetto Brawls.
Whoa.
Maybe I'll ask about the Red Lobster. Brawlin' Broads, World's Wildest Street Fights. Remember Bum Fights?
I was going to say, Jordan, Houston has a lane.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast about the guy who created that. It was Talk About Macabre.
All right, let me tell you about NetSuite. Yeah, we got a great segment planned for you today with businessman extraordinaire Jordan Harbinger. Brought to you by our friends at NetSuite. NetSuite, it's the world's number one cloud business system, trusted by more than 19,000 companies. It's the last system you'll ever need. Shall we throw to Jordan? I want to play the intro.
NetSuite presents The Wonderful World of Business with Jordan Harbinger.
What's going on, Jordan?
Hey, how is everybody cooped up at home right now?
I'm at the studio, but thanks. They're miserable.
Yeah.
They're all
miserable. You own the studio, so
That's
it is
true.
kind of a home.
Yeah, home away from home.
Do you have more cars there or more cars at your house? That's the question.
I have no cars at my house, and hey, you know what's really interesting? I never thought of. I have no cars at my house and no office at my warehouses. I have a home office. I don't have an office at any of these facilities. Never thought about that. But I have no cars at home. They're all here.
They're all there. Yeah, well, that makes sense. That's supposed to make sense. Keeps Lynette happy. No oil on the front lawn, etc.
And it's such a weird relationship that Lynette has with these cars, which is no relationship. Doesn't know which ones I have, doesn't know how much they cost, doesn't care, not interested.
Retirement fund, the way like she treats like a 401k. Like it's there. I know it's there. I'm happy it's there.
Yeah.
I suppose if you ever needed to, well, anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want to talk about the lottery because I think it's a ripoff and I kind of hate it. What do you think?
I've always hated the lottery because I believe it preys upon vulnerable people, and it also gives the world's worst message. It sends the world's worst message ever. You know what I've said a million times? What if you were a high school counselor and some 17-year-old boy came in and sat down and went, "Hey, man, I'm looking for direction. I'm thinking about a future." And you went, "You know what? Buy a lottery ticket, dude." You'd get fired the next day. So how good can it be?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're 100% right. Not only is it not good, not only is it not a plan, but, and I think this is like the easy part to explain where, look, the tickets, Americans spend around $70 billion on lotto tickets each year. So $70 billion, that's a huge amount of people who think they can win. It's like half of America thinks they can win the lottery. And that's kind of like, there are probably more brain surgeons at major hospitals than there are major lottery winners in the country. And yet half of America thinks they can win this. And lower income people, as you mentioned, are particularly vulnerable to this idea. And that makes it even worse because the average household that is below the poverty line, which makes only, I think, 13 grand a year, they're spending 9% of their money on lotto tickets. Imagine spending a tenth of your income on lottery tickets that give you no value at all.
Well, imagine investing 9% of your income.
No. Very few people are even investing 9% of their income. But they're wasting it on lottery tickets, not food, not a vacation that they kind of can't afford, not too much house or an extra car or a nicer car that they kind of can't afford. Lottery tickets that are literally garbage after the news runs the numbers.
This makes my skin crawl because all the folks that believe that the government is kind of looking out for these people, all the people that go like, hey, man, we need a social fabric for these people. They fall through the cracks. Their school system's failing, all pushing the lottery. Poison. And it's not only from a financial standpoint. Yeah, you're taking 10%, 9 or 10% of your income that you certainly can't afford to put into this roulette wheel you're spinning that never lands on your number. But think about the message. Think about the message. You can't get out of this. The only way you're going to get out of this is if the heavens part and God smiles upon you. You can try to buy your way out $3 at a time, but good luck. The message is horrible. It's a pathetic message that the government should not be sending to its most vulnerable people. And here's what the government wants. They want money. They're not interested in these people need to be raised up and we need to have community and people of this community of color and that community. And they're always fucking talking about these, but they never get rid of the lottery. They never get rid of the lottery. It preys on the weakest, brownest, poorest people in our community, but I never hear anyone stand up and go, let's get rid of the lottery. I never do. Oh, they want to fucking bring down everything else around them. The COVID virus is racist. Everything is racist. Everything needs to be fixed. Everything. They all miss the lottery. How do they miss the lottery?
It's a hope factory for people I should say false hope factory to be clear. So it's a false hope factory that allows people to buy hope instead of, applying for jobs, putting on proper clothes, brushing your teeth, going on interviews. It's like, I'm just going to throw a bunch of money into the lottery tickets and then hopefully I'll be a multimillionaire overnight at some point. And the odds are atrocious, as we talked about. I mean, it's like 1 in 292 million to win Powerball, or Mega Millions is like 1 in 302 million. You are much more likely. The odds of getting struck by lightning twice are 1 in 9 million. So you are 34 times more likely to get struck by lightning twice than to win Mega Millions once.
I hope it all takes place in the same day. I think I'm hearing you right.
Which one first, though? That's the question.
Yeah, look, it's a horrible message. A, it preys upon people that can't afford it. B, there's this sort of thing they throw out, which is it helps the school system. I don't know how much it helps the school system, but then the same people that won't get rid of the lottery are constantly explaining how the school system is broken and they need more money. So which is it?
You're right. It's an attempt to fix the education system, but of course, this is probably not how this should be done. And like you said, the government wants the cash. It's run by the Multi-State Lottery Association. These big games like Powerball, Mega Millions, it's a government benefit association comprised of state-run lotteries. So directly or indirectly, the government runs all major lotteries, which I don't know how you feel about privatizing education and things like that, but this is not good when you have big money like this going into a government agency, but it's technically not a tax. Like it's really not good.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Does anyone have to pay tax on the lottery, or is that robbing Peter to pay Paul since it's all run by the government?
Yeah, well, you pay on your winnings. So if you win...
No, I'm sorry. Does the government who collects all the money? Because why would they? They'd be paying themselves.
Look, I don't have any definitive information on this, but I'm going to go ahead and say probably not, because they're supposedly going to pass that money on to the winners, and they're going to pay like 25 to, 40%
and taxes. Well, not only, all right, I got to, first off, don't get me fucking started. Also, this fucking thing where you go, you won $50 million. And you go, okay, would you like that paid out $1.7 million for the next 100 years? Or would you like it in a lump of $23 million? It's like, hey, bitch, I won $50 million. Give me the fucking $50 million. You don't get to fucking put it in the bank and collect the interest on it. It's a $50 million payday. Like we're talking about cards or whatever the game is. It's $50 million. You owe me $50 million. Don't give me a choice between taking a lump of $27 million or taking it in incremental payments. Pay me the fucking money.
Yeah, taxes on lottery winnings can get up to something like 70%. So you better hope if you win Powerball, you win like $600 million, because then you get 180 of it if you're lucky.
Hey, Chris Maxpat, I've never thought about this before.
Okay.
Do smart nations such as Sweden have the lottery? Now, I know right now the country's torn. Formerly, Sweden were geniuses. Now they didn't lock down their citizens, so they're pariahs to half the country. But I still have them in the genius department. Do smart nations have a lottery?
I see Sweden Lotto is not only the oldest Swedish lottery,
God damn it, I'm
lottery,
going
but
home.
also one of the oldest in the world, dating back to 1896.
Him right.
It goes down to, it started in 1896.
Yeah, I clicked it. It's just a gif of Denzel.
Man, it's not a good, it's not a good idea. Today's not good lottery ticket buying day for me. I've never bought a lottery ticket in my life, and it's not that I don't. You shouldn't believe you're lucky. No one should believe they're lucky. Believe you're going to have to outwork everyone around you to get ahead, but do not believe in your own luck. The oldest lottery ticket from Sweden.
One of the oldest in the world.
What are who does everyone have a lottery now? This is sad.
Go
I
through
do
every
think
country.
most developed countries have a lottery.
What about North Korea? Do they have a lottery? I don't think we have any data on that.
Either
That seems like a country that would.
That's more like the book, The Lottery. You don't want to know what happens to you if your number comes up.
Adam, I'll get you back on track, Adam. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, nearly a third of lottery winners go bankrupt.
Well, there is a reason. There was a TV show called The Lottery Ruined My Life.
Yeah. No, of course, it has. So in the message department, it sends the horrible message of, hey, poor people, your only way out of this shitstorm is to buy this ticket and get lucky. That's a horrible message. It should be hard work and perseverance and dedication, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so it sends a horrible message. It preys on poor people. And then if you do win, you have no skills. You know, when Mark Cuban made his first $50 million, he was completely prepared as how to allocate it, spend it, do whatever he wanted to do with it. If you made $13,000 for the last 21 years and now you make $50 million, that's like a 80% jump in increase in money there, or a lot. I wasn't a great student either. I was an LA Unified guy. We didn't get a lot of that lottery money. But yes, of course you squander it. Of course you OD. Of course you hand it out to family members who never talk to you again. It's all, you give someone $50 million who hasn't made $50 million, you ruin them.
They do happiness studies on people that win the lottery, and it is definitive that winning the lottery does not increase long-term happiness of winners. I actually read, Brian, that somewhere of like 70% of lottery winners end up declaring bankruptcy within a few years of winning. You said nearly a third. Now I'm second guessing my research here, but I mean, that is a lot of people that lose all of the money. So all those annoying memes on Facebook are accurate. Money can't buy happiness, which is ironic because being happy is one of the biggest selling points of the lottery in the first place. And a lot of lottery winners get involved in family feuds because they either do give or don't give enough money. They struggle with their relationships. They get in trouble with the law a lot. And I think a lot of that's probably drugs, if I had to guess, or just flipping out and going 100 miles an hour down your neighborhood road because you just don't even know the purpose of life anymore. So it magnifies all these existing problems that you have and then makes every other problem worse and then gives you problems you didn't even know you were going to have because you're rich. More money, more problems, I guess.
It's counter to everything that is healthy in a life. And I would just urge everyone to stay away from it. And you know, the reality is my kids aren't going to spend a percentage of their income if they spend any of it on the lottery. It's not my kids I'm worried about, and I do feel like this is a clear case of the government kind of preying The government has all the data. When you go into the bad neighborhoods with all the big malt liquor signs up on the liquor stores, you see a lot of lottery signage out there. You don't see a lot. You don't see nearly as much when you go into the affluent neighborhoods. They're preying on these people. It's insidious.
Well, and think of the commercial, and I'm sure we could pull it up. The famous commercial of the Hispanic family doing a day at Dodger Stadium, an empty stadium where they rented out the stadium. And I always wanted to do this for my abuelo. And that is so pandering and dangerous, as you put it.
And it's kind of a waste of money to spend $500,000 in one lump. But also, that's what the home games are going to look like now.
That's right.
True.
You could have just waited another year and a half.
All right.
The whole place yourself.
Play the outro, Dawson.
What a wonderful world of business. Jordan Harbinger, brought to you by NetSuite.
All right. I want to thank Jordan Harbinger for that deep dive over there, and NetSuite for being a great partner. You schedule your free product tour right now and get a free guide and 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/Adam. Support this great sponsor, Jordan Harbinger, everyone. The Jordan Harbinger Show, available on Spotify and Podcast One, and his website, jordanharbinger.com. Thanks, Jordan. Good topic.
Thank you.
Boy, did I have thoughts on that bad boy. Houston Curtis is going to be up. We'll talk to him all about cards and games and, God, life right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents the COVID-19 edition of Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Van Nuys, California. A 31 and 29-year-old man were being escorted out of a store for refusing to wear masks. One of the two men attacked the store security guard and broke his arm. The incident took place at Target. Definitely not a Jew.
Houston Curtis is on the blower. Good to see you. Good to meet you. The book, The $1 Billion Hollywood Heist, The A-List Kingpin, and The Poker Ring That Brought Down Tinseltown, is available now on Amazon. Good to meet you, Houston.
Nice to meet you, Adam. Thanks for having me on.
Well, let's talk about what's in the book. Give us a thumbnail sketch.
Well, a lot of your fans may have seen the movie or heard of the movie Molly's Game, which Aaron Sorkin directed. I started a poker game back in maybe late 2004, 2005 with Tobey Maguire. And we started the game inside of his at his house in his kitchen. And Tobey was, I don't know if you've ever met Tobey. He's a vegan, and he's when guys are eating pepperoni pizza and smoking cigars in his kitchen, he's like, man, I got to get these scumbags out of my house. So we found another spot, and we called our buddy Darren Feinstein, who ran the Viper Room on the Viper. He bought it from Johnny Depp. And Molly worked for Darren, and that's how we met Molly. And her story is a lot different than the actual story of the game, which is why I wrote the book.
Yeah, her story is different than the one that was depicted in the movie. I mean, her actual story.
Well, her actual story is similar to the movie, but the movie and her book have a lot of inaccuracies.
Well, let's talk about some of those. And
Sure.
Are they inaccuracies because of her memory, or they're inaccuracies to protect people, or what do you?
Well, look, Molly was like a little sister to me, and I actually talked to her throughout the entire time she was writing the book, and when she did the deal with Sorkin to make the movie, I gave her all the hands that were used in the film. They used them in the wrong places, but she didn't remember the poker hands. There was we made Molly rich, I mean, like beyond her wildest dreams. She was making $30,000 a night.
Wow.
Okay, in tips. And when it came time for our game to kind of move on, we set her up, Tobey specifically set her up in a huge game in New York to run that game. And if you've watched the movie, that's not how it goes down. And, you know, I was asked to write this book a long time ago when she was writing a book, and I kind of stayed out of it. And when I saw the movie, which, you know, Aaron Sorkin did a great movie. I love Aaron Sorkin. But there were so many inaccuracies about me and about the way Tobey was portrayed. I thought, you know, this story is so fascinating if you just told the truth. So I decided that's what I was going to do.
You know, part of me as a guy who's been around movie making and like have talked to a few guys, like, you know, you see Ford v Ferrari, and then you talk to Ken Miles' son, Peter, and he's like, it didn't really. It's just, there's no such thing as bang on. There's no such thing as they got it just right. I'll tell you, the only version of that that's just right is when they make a fictional movie like Backdraft about firemen, and then you talk to firemen, they go, oh yeah, that's what it's like. Yeah, you're yelling no time for backup, and you have two kittens and a hot chick over your shoulder.
You're hanging from a rafter, holding another guy.
Yelling, I got this, go on without me. Yeah, right.
But there I know what you mean. And there were a lot of things in the movie that, you know, that happened. They just happened differently. I think the biggest thing that I wanted to share in this book, aside from all of the different stories that you don't get in Molly's Game, that was the vast difference, was how Tobey was portrayed and how the game was ran. Look, we had Molly's name on the game for a reason. Tobey was probably at the height of his celebrity during this. You know, this was like, he was making Spider-Man 3. I was literally on the set with him when he shot the final scene. And so he was a huge star, and he didn't want people knowing that he was running one of the biggest poker games, the biggest poker game in Hollywood history.
Well, when you say biggest, are we talking about pot sizes or buy-ins, or what constitutes biggest?
Well, this has been verified by many people, including like Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten, guys who are around that game. It was huge, millions of dollars on the table. The minimum buy-in was, once we moved up to the 5-star hotels, the buy-in was around $50,000 minimum. And you were looking at starting out with 200, 400 blinds. I don't know if you play any No Limit Hold'em, but
I don't know much about poker. So if you use jargon or terminology, please dumb it down for me.
Yeah. No problem. So 200, 400 blind means the minimum come-in bet is $400. And it's no limit. So it can get raised.
You can go all in anytime.
Right.
All in anytime. So in our minimum bets went up to 1,000, 2,000, and 2,000, 4,000. And there were, everyone was, if you were a winner, you were winning usually average 6 figures, 3, 4, 500,000. And the losers were losing the same. But there were also, you know, $1 million wins and $1 million losses.
What's the biggest biggest hand, single hand you've been around for?
Well, when things started going bad for me, near like 2008, when the market crashed and a lot of things were going on that I reveal in the book, I got into a hand with Rick Solomon. Do you know Rick?
Oh yeah. Wait, is he the Girls Gone Crazy guy?
No, I played with Joe Francis also.
Oh, Joe Francis. Who's
Rick Solomon was with Paris Hilton, right?
Right.
Oh.
Rick made the One Night in Paris video.
Oh, that guy. What was his business?
Dirty business.
Rick's been around Hollywood forever. He's very respected amongst like all the like A-list, you know, actors, and but he's in a variety of businesses.
Oh, all right. But see, You know what's weird? I've been around Hollywood for a long time, just working and fucking the same chick. There's other guys who go in other directions. Like, I don't work. I'm around Hollywood. Yeah. I just fuck everybody. I should have gone down that path. I went the fucking work path. Yeah. That was my problem. Around Hollywood.
I got a call from Rick one night. He says, come over to my house. I'm having a going away party. I didn't even know what it meant. Where's he going? And I go in the house, and it was like walking into some den of, there was naked women everywhere, cocaine. And I finally make my way up to Rick, and there was this like supermodel girl, like lighting a crack pipe. And I was like, Rick, what the hell are you doing? I'm going to rehab tomorrow.
I remember that night. I was at Hollywood Center Studios in an office with Jimmy Kimmel eating day-old sushi and punching up crank yanker scripts. I remember that night. Yeah.
Checking in with your wife.
Yeah. Telling her I was going to be home late, so just leave the pizza out.
That sounds about right, because Jimmy wasn't at the party, so he must have been with you. But I lost $1 million to Rick came in one night, and Rick would tell you this himself. He had a little bit of a substance abuse drug problem at the time. He's since clean and doing really well. But everyone had left, and it was me and him heads up. And I rarely got stuck in the game. I mean, the game was designed. Me and Tobey designed the game to be beat every week. But I was stuck heavy, and I thought, well, this is my shot to get it back.
What do you mean he designed it to be beat every week?
Well, we built the game. We built the game with in the poker world, they would call it fish. We had a lot of fish in the game. We had guys in the game, Adam, who were never going to get any better at poker, and they were never going to run out of money.
I would imagine that it was beneficial to you to have people who really wanted to be a part of this thing once it became a thing, who had money, who didn't really care if they lost it or not, and frankly weren't that good at poker.
Yeah, no, that was the beauty of the entire hustle, if you will. When we first started the game, the first thing we decided is, hey, we're going to bring Leonardo DiCaprio, and just guys would give $50,000 just to sit down with a guy like that for an hour. Now they get to play poker with him.
Right.
And Leo didn't even, use his own money. Tobey and I staked him. But he played like aces and kings. He was a super tight player, so it wasn't much of a risk on our end. But the reward was high because of the guys who wanted to sit down with him, and with Tobey as well. And so we built the game based on the way people are enamored with celebrity. We use that to our advantage to build, a game that's, probably unlike anything that has ever happened before it, and maybe unlike anything that will ever happen for a long, long time.
How often would you play?
We were playing usually 2 nights a week. Now Tobey and I would play more often than that. Sometimes we'd play in smaller games or go to other games. Nick Cassavetes had a game that we'd play in every week. And there are lots of games around town that I used to play in. But our big game went off usually 2 nights a week.
What was the general time length? And would you have a hard out, or would you just go, you guys keep playing? Well, you ended up with Rick, just playing. So I guess there wasn't a hard out.
No, there was not a hard out. The hard out was whoever's stuck will play as long as they want to try and get even, and whoever is willing to play with them, we'll keep the cards in the air. Rick didn't even show up to the game that night until everyone was about to leave, and then he proceeded to. They brought out a tray, and Rick laid out more cocaine than I'd ever seen in my life, and just did it all. And then he's like, let's play. And I thought, well, this is my shot. And he got involved in a hand with me. I ran the numbers on it. It was like a 9,000 to 1 shot that he could win this hand. And without going through the hand, to make a long story short, he bad beats me on the river for $1 million.
Oh.
And that was a rough ride home, man. That was a really, really. Tobey called me on the way home. He said, "I just want to make sure you're not driving off a cliff."
And
are you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was on the subject. Are you still in touch with Tobey? Are you guys still friends?
Yeah, we're still friends. I haven't talked to Tobey in a while. I haven't talked to him since the book came out. When everything that happened to me happened, between the heart attack and the 2008 market crash, I didn't want to be this guy who was, when you hang out with these guys and you're rolling around in private jets and all of a sudden, you're losing your house. My house is being foreclosed on and I'm losing like everything. My business is getting crushed. I didn't want to be the guy who was like, oh, poor Houston. So I just kind of backed off and I figured, I'll hang out with those guys again when the time is right.
When you hear about, famously guys like Michael Jordan doing a lot of gambling, is this some of what we're talking about? I mean, you hear about him on the golf course and casinos and that kind of thing, but these kinds of games?
Oh yeah. We always wanted Michael to play in our game, but it just never worked out. I mean, I played with Rick Fox and with who's the big ball player, Rodriguez,
Alex Rodriguez.
But, yeah.
Was Matt Damon and Ben Affleck played as well?
Yeah, Ben was a regular, and Ben was a really fun guy to play with, and a gentleman, and really funny, and a good player. Matt came to the game one time, and he knew everybody's name. Like Ben he said, "Oh, you're the backyard wrestling guy." I produced all those like backyard wrestling videos, and Ben had given him the dossier on all the players, and I was kind of excited because I was such a fan of Rounders. I wanted to see if Mike McD was going to show up, and that wasn't the case. The night ended up with Ben. Matt didn't have enough to cover it, so Ben wrote me a check on Matt's behalf it was on between 45 and 50 grand.
Oof.
But he, with a smile, and he didn't come back to play, but he seemed to have a good time.
Were there other ancillary things provided for the guys? I mean, we talked about the aforementioned cocaine. Obviously, you got to have booze on hand and club sandwiches. Hey, bring any ladies by? Guys want to take a break, blow a little steam off, have someone else blow on his dice for a change?
Well, the short answer is yes. The more complicated answer is Tobey would not allow any of that stuff to go on while he was in the game. So whenever he was there was no sign of any drugs, no sign of any shenanigans. It was as straight up as it could possibly be. Now, Tobey liked to win early and leave early,
Mm-hmm.
So when Tobey left, a lot of times the rules would change. And there were some instances where, like, there's this one dude who just had so much money, he kept, he's a record label owner, and he kept a couple girls down the hall at the Four Seasons. And he would leave he was the big fish of the night. So we were looking to make money off of him, and he'd play for 40 minutes and then he'd be gone for 40 minutes. And he'd come back. And finally I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "Oh, I got two girls in the other room and we're doing blow." And, so,
Yeah, I remember that night. I was at Hollywood Center Studios. The pizza just arrived. We're working on the Man Show. We're punching up some Man Show bits. I
actually worked at Hollywood Center. I did the Gabrielle show at Hollywood Center years ago with Gabrielle Cortez.
Oh, yeah. From 90210.
That's right, Andrea.
Yeah. Doing.
That was one of my...
I believe she's the SAG-AFTRA president right now, right?
She is, and I'm really happy, that she's had a lot of success with the Beverly Hills 90210 start
reboot.
What?
She was awesome.
Is Tobey Maguire? Has he made? Where is he? Do you think he's up? Do you think he's down? Do you have an estimate? Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's way up.
I was just about to say, no, not to interject, but I cider someone who has knowledge like you do, Houston, and their takeaway was the game ultimately really had a negative impact on Tobey's life and career. Do you share that opinion, or can you verify that, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good point you bring up. I think, outwardly, when you go on, YouTube, you see these videos like what happened to Tobey Maguire. And, the poker thing is always a big part of, the reason why his career went south or whatever. And I think there may be some truth to that, but, it's kind of why I also wanted to tell my story. Molly really portrays Tobey as a monster, and the guy's one of the most stand-up guys I've ever met in my life. Look, when I had that big loss with Solomon, I went over to Tobey's, and he had a check written before I even got there. We scratched out a deal on a napkin. It wasn't the best deal. He likes to make good deals for himself, but he basically helped me cover the $1 million, and he's a great guy. So he's taken a beating in the press, and he's not the kind of guy, he hates press anyway. So he's not the kind of guy who's ever going to come out and defend himself. And it's not that I'm even trying to defend him either. I just want to tell the right story. But I think he's so smart, that dude, that I think you'll see him come back in like a huge way. I predict that. I predict he will come back in a much bigger way than be a much bigger star than he even was during Spider-Man.
How does the IRS factor into this whole mess?
Hey man, we had to file Schedule C's as professional gamblers, and everything was done in checks because the money got so big. At first we were doing it in cash, but it got so big we were worried about guys getting robbed and mugged on the way out the door. And every now and then, we'd have like a friend come in from Vegas and bring, a pile of cash, and that was always fun. But we had to do it straight up, and it doesn't mean the IRS likes it. I mean, I'm still dealing with a 2006 audit where they accepted all of my wins and rejected all of my losses against them.
Funny.
Yeah.
How that
so
works.
they want $650,000, and it's just par for the course for the beating that I've taken over the past few years.
How much would you? So let me just see if I got the game right. The game is you guys got to bring in guys who have a lot of money and not a lot of skill, who don't mind losing a lot of money, who just want to sit next to Ben Affleck for a couple hours and play poker, and they realize the VIG is kind of losing a bunch of money. Who were most of those guys? Where did they come from?
Sure. All right. So one guy, his name is Larry Hahn. And Larry, have you ever been in New York where they come up and hey, if you like Chanel No. 5, you'll love this, and they try and sell you, the
imposter.
Right.
Larry created that empire. He is the guy. I mean, he's made like 30 millionaires who work under him. It's a huge multi-level marketing thing. So he's and Todd Phillips, who played in the game, who directed, The Hangover and The Joker. Todd would always call him Old Spice, and it was so because he was a little older. And then Todd would always threaten that he was going to bang his wife, and Larry would say, "That's not nice, Todd," because he had this really hot, smoking, like 30-year-old wife. So guys like Larry would lose. I once saw Larry lose a hand to this guy Chucky Pacheco. Some of you may know Chucky. He's Nick Cassavetes' producing partner, and he's an actor, club owner. And Chuck's like, "Man, Larry, this is my first hand of the game, and you're already smoking me." And Larry's like, "I'm sorry, Chuck," and he gives him the money back. It was like $25,000, and Chuck looked at me. He's like, "Houston, Larry just gave me a Prius." And Larry would lose $100,000 and still tip Molly like $10,000 at the end of the night. So there's guys like Larry. Then there was some big, a lot of big hedge fund guys and big, real estate. The guy who found the lost treasure, the sunken treasure, You know, the $100 million. He was a sports agent, and then he found literally found hidden treasure. We got that guy in the game.
Wow.
Jamie Gold played in the game, who won the $12 million in the World Series, and that was really good for us.
Well, what would happen when you had a real pro in there? Is there a discernible difference? Obviously, maybe between, Matt Damon and that guy, but would people be intimidated if a guy who was, a seasoned veteran, a professional who did it, full time showed up?
These guys that we played with had so much money that I don't think intimidation would be the right word. They would, first of all, Tobey and I rarely stocked the game with pros.
Right.
Pros had been trying to get into the game from day one.
I'm sure.
And, one night, just as kind of an honorarium type of thing, we let Phil Ivey play. Phil won like $300,000, and with ease. And we let Phil Hellmuth play. Hellmuth won $300,000 also. And I remember Ivey. I was driving back to his hotel, and he's like, "Man," he's like, "So you must do really good in this game." I said, "Yeah, it's a good game." He said, "Yeah, if I had this game, I wouldn't need to play professional poker." But those guys were rare, because they would come in and stomp the game, and we had it kind of set. We had the table set just the way we wanted it.
How did how did the tipping work? You said she got $10,000 after someone lost $100,000. Was there?
Yeah.
How would you determine that, or was it just up to everybody?
So to rake a poker game, a private poker game, is illegal. Okay, so if you're raking the game, meaning taking money out of the pot for the house, you cannot do that without a casino license, which we obviously did not have. So we had induced tipping. It actually started in Tobey's kitchen when his then girlfriend, later wife, Jen Meyer, would deal. And Tobey would make sure and say, "Hey, everybody, if you want to be invited back, make sure and tip Jen." And that got changed around in the movie where the guy playing Molly's boss said, "If you guys want to be invited back, make sure and tip Molly." That happened at Tobey's house with Jen. And we just kept that philosophy going. And then as the game got bigger and bigger, before you know it, Molly is making like $30,000 a night. And, she was just crushing it. And I never cared because I was, pulling in like on average, like six figures every time I played. It was 80% of the time. And for the longest time, Tobey didn't care until we started seeing Molly like pull up in a brand new Bentley, and certain things started happening that made us tighten the grip a little bit, because you could have literally paid anyone $1,000, $2,000 a night. How much would it be worth to host a game, to call 8 guys and get them into a room and make sure that everybody pays at the end of the night? That was basically
well, it's sort of what I think about when you go to the Waffle House in Georgia and the poor woman's busting her hump and there's 4 of you eating breakfast and the bill is $39, and then someone goes, I don't know, 20%? What's 20% of 39? Make it 50, leave her $10, and then you go to a super high-end steak joint, everyone's getting appetizers and surf and turf, and at the end that chick gets $300, and it's like, it's the same calories, the same work. Either girl could have done either job. Why does one walk away with $10 and the other way walks away with 300? And you're sort of saying that like, hey, she could make $5,000, she didn't need to make 30 grand.
Right. It's the setting, and when we start discussing this, Tobey gets made out to look like a cheapskate, which the guy, the lowest tip that he ever gave her was $1,000. I mean, in what world, where I come from, my humble beginnings in the Midwest, you get $1,000 tip for hosting a poker game, you're doing pretty damn good for yourself.
So do you think that that whole image that she portrayed was sour grapes because of tightening the reins a little bit when she started showing up with flashier stuff?
Yeah, it was that. She started showing up, where driving the Bentley, and then there was some instances where all of a sudden some guy was playing in the game that she said was a friend of this dude that we all knew, this dude around town named BZ. And it was supposed to be his cousin. And he's from out of town. And he's a huge degenerate sports bettor. He's just learned how to play poker. And so we let him in, and it took about one orbit before we figured out the guy was a professional. And we started asking him, so how's BZ doing? Oh, he's good. Yeah, how's Dave? Dave who?
Oh.
BZ's brother.
Right.
Next thing you know, it's like, let me see your wallet, buddy. And I called a friend of mine, Andy Bellin, in New York, who's a screenwriter that plays in all those underground games. And sure enough, the guy was a New York rounder who had infiltrated the game. So we got together. It was me and Todd Phillips and Tobey, I think. We all kind of huddled up and we decided we had to make an example out of the guy. So
muscle.
The Hollywood muscle. We basically said, we're going to keep a new guy like that had to do a buy-in in cash.
Mm-hmm.
So we kept his buy-in. We said, this is a message. You take this message to anybody in New York who's trying to get in this game under false pretenses that we're not having it. And we kept his buy-in and booted him out. Now I heard someone told me later that Molly paid that buy-in back to him personally because she made a deal with him to get in the game. And I'm like, man, talk about looking a gift horse in the mouth. You're already making 30 grand a night in tips. Now you want to bring in rounders to try and take down the guys who are making you rich.
Right.
It was mind numbing. So those are some of my frustrations with beautiful Molly.
It can go no other way though, right? I mean, you're making the 30 grand, you get used to that, you get the Bentley, you kind of get used to that, and then someone comes up to you with an idea, a proposition where you can make some more money, and you just go, yeah, all right, no harm, no foul. Sadly, it's kind of a default human setting to be that way.
It is. The game didn't need to get as big as it was. We kind of were victims of that ourselves. We started out as a $5,000 buy-in.
I was going to say, if it stayed at a certain level, could it have ostensibly gone on forever? Or not forever, you know what I mean? Like, could there really no end in sight?
There's one factor that could never happen again in history, I don't think. The timing. Poker had just blown up on television.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we first started the game, we had this low buy-in, but the blinds were 100, 200 then. So to explain that, to sit right in a game that's 100 turn blinds, you really need about 50,000. Well, these guys didn't understand that because none of them had played enough poker to really know, how to manage a bankroll or anything. And they couldn't even shuffle cards, so we had a professional dealer. They just had to look at two cards. It's Texas Hold'em. It's really easy to learn. And what would happen is they'd come in with $5 grand, sit down and hang out with Leo DiCaprio, and 3 or 4 hands later, they're buying in for another 5. 4 hands later, they're buying in for another 5. So they come in for 5, they end up losing 35 to 55, and they can afford it. But I would have kept the game right there for as long as we could until people, got more used to poker being, such a common thing.
Right.
But that was a special time, and when we took it up a notch, Tobey wanted to take it way up. So that's what we did.
What is Tobey Maguire's sort of day-to-day like? Not that you're following him around, but is he producing? Is he writing? Is he a stay-at-home dad? Like, I truly don't know. Usually people are up to something in the business. They just slide behind the camera a little bit. But do we know? Mm-hmm. Brian, do you know?
No, man. He obviously our guest would know better.
Well, he's produced a lot of movies. He hasn't had the hits that he's wanted, but he has a production company. He's got a room full of guys reading scripts for him, 24/7, and
he was a narrator in Boss Baby from 2017. Wasn't Jimmy in that?
Right.
Was Jimmy in Boss Baby? Yeah, well, that's what just came up on my screen. Yeah, well,
he's also in The Great Gatsby.
I was going to say, according to my insider, he's very good friends with Leonardo DiCaprio, obviously. Right. So he was in Great Gatsby as a result. But everything else he's more or less been in since the poker era has been something his production company has produced or he's paid for. But to your point, I mean, he's a talented actor. I could certainly see a scenario where he makes a comeback. He's really good.
And not just talented, the kid's super smart, like super smart.
Well, so I don't want to poo-poo it, but I said this about Molly Ringwald 20 years ago, and she ended up in a guacamole commercial for the Super Bowl. So I may have been wrong about that. No, it's what's interesting, and I think we should all understand this. Like we go, oh man, that person is super talented, or that person had a great career, or that person is gifted, or whatever. That's all true. Doesn't mean you get to come back. That's the business. It doesn't. Well, Molly Ringwald is a very gifted actress who was on top of the world, who did major movies and everything. And, you can make a living, but you don't necessarily get to come back in the way that we're talking about, despite how talented you are sometimes.
But let me put it this way. If Tobey has to take his ball and go home, he gets to go home and play with $100 million.
That's a good point.
Right.
And that doesn't include the 25 million that he won playing in the game.
Unbelievable, man. It's such an interesting world that I just didn't know fully existed. I mean, obviously, see it depicted in movies.
We should have a poker game on your show, Adam. I'll deal.
I'd love that.
What's the
buy-in?
That'd
be great. We all want to play.
You guys set the buy-in. We'll make a night of it.
I'll bring my Sparklets bottle filled with nickels and quarters. No, I love the social aspect of it, and we used to have poker nights back in the day. It's mainly as an excuse just to smoke cigars and drink and hang out with.
I tell
friends.
you who has a great game. They're one of the greatest small games in Hollywood, and I was very honored to be invited to this game every week. And it was John Landau, who's Jim Cameron's producing partner. And they're not big money. They're playing for small money. And you got a lot of interesting guys in there. David Schwimmer would play a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Schwimmer, I mean, how much is Schwimmer worth? Like a lot of money. Schwimmer would be like sweating his cards, like just, over like a $10 call or a $30 call forever. It was just so brutal to play with him, but that's a fun little game. You should get into that game, Adam. I'm sure John would love to have you down.
I'd love to. Wasn't it? Oh God! Oh, Meg Tilly, Gina, you must do Jennifer Tilly. You must do it.
I was there all the time, and I really got to tell you. At first, I was a little intimidated by all the guys, but then I realized I could use that to my advantage.
Jennifer, I don't know anything about poker. What is the river? How would you describe that?
Adam, these are terms that if I have to explain them to you, you should probably just Google it. I have better things to do, like go win a big pot.
Oh, okay, and I think you played in Sam Simon's game. Is that correct?
He was a dear friend.
Yeah,
dear friend.
Sad, but that guy's got had some money to throw around in a poker game, right? Wasn't he more than a friend?
Look, I don't want to speak ill of anyone who is here or not here, but I can tell you because you're pressuring me to find out all the hot gossip. The river is the last card that's dealt, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Thank you. I don't know how we got there. Did you play in that Sam Simon game, Houston?
I played with Sam a few times, and one night it was a huge game in Vegas in Sam's room, and I have a feeling that's the night. I think Sam went off the rails for a few $100,000 that night.
Really?
Maybe
he could do that.
$500,000.
Wow.
Yeah, he could do that. And I was there the first time Jennifer Tilly showed up to play in any kind of public way. It was a private tournament that was held every year. The Factor brothers, Max Factor, they'd have this tournament out of their place. And
Jennifer, do you remember that game with the Factor brothers?
I do remember that they gave me some wonderful makeup tips, and it really felt like we really bonded that night, and I got a new rouge.
Yeah, I think they call it blush, but that's just me.
No, the classic term is rouge, and I just want you to know that I remember I went all in with Pocket Kings.
Pocket Kings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pocket Kings. That's what I call the Max Factor brothers.
All right. Hey, Houston, let me give you a plug over here. The book, The $1 Billion Hollywood Heist, it's available as we speak on Amazon. You can bookmark us and click through. It just helps. Sounds very interesting. And the website, Card with a K, Card Sharp.
Sharp.
With a
That's
P.
right.
There you go. I see what you did there. .com is where you go. Let me hit the light stream here. Thanks, Houston. I appreciate it. That was an informative conversation.
Very interesting.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jennifer.
Logan, great to see you again.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Houston. Let me hit the light stream here. Refinance your debt with a credit card consultation loan from Lightstream. Roll balances from multiple cards into one single monthly payment. Get a rate as low as 5.95 APR with autopay, much lower than the national average credit card rate of over 19% APR. Oh, God, that's a lot. Absolutely no fees. Quick, easy application, 100% online. Even get your money as soon as the day you apply. According to one user's testimony, Lightstream had the best rate by far. Overall, amazing experience. Highly recommended. Apply today and get a special interest rate discount and save even more. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/Adam. That is lightstream.com/Adam and save some money. Right, Dawson?
Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Adam for more information.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and do the news right after this.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad. Trouble in the Middle East. Celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
So Paul Manafort, who is President Donald Trump's imprisoned, for now, imprisoned campaign chairman, former, was released to home confinement for the rest of his sentence Wednesday amid concerns that he could contract the coronavirus in prison. This is according to NBC News. Senior officials at the Justice Department headquarters in Washington played no role in the decision for the 71-year-old, according to a source. The Bureau of Prisons says there are no known cases of coronavirus at the Loretto prison in Pennsylvania. So far, about 2,500 inmates have been released to home confinement since Attorney General William Barr's March 26 memo instructing the Bureau of Prisons to prioritize home confinement because of the pandemic. Another one that was going for it, but I don't think got it, was Van Houten, the Charles Manson follower.
Manson family. Leslie Van Houten?
Is it Leslie? I can't remember.
I think it was Leslie. They had some footage from like the L.A. sheriff, whatever, the lockup where guys were trying to give it to each other.
Yeah.
You guys see that?
Drinking, passing that hot water around.
And
that
like
cup.
huffing into the same mask. Also, and then I think X amount of them did get it, but they didn't.
Sure did.
They didn't
They did not get released.
They did not let those guys out. It doesn't. They spread it. I guess they spread it to the guards and whatever, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the prisoners that much themselves because they're all probably 26 and 5% body fat. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be affecting them. But they are using it as an excuse to get out. A lot of them are. All right.
Trying.
Mm-hmm.
So Manafort, I think it was, didn't he have 7 years and now he's just going to cool his heels at home?
And he's probably got a good
Quite a
home
deal.
to go to.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm
really
really
well done.
I just I really, if you really think about the concept, like the concept of confining someone, like you need to be in a cage, essentially, or a bigger cage with a smaller cage in the middle of it. Unless you're violent, I don't need you in that cage. I need you out making restitution or doing something. I need you doing something. I really don't need you in the cage part. The part where you're in the cage is the part where you're dangerous to me. Anybody, whatever you did, Lori Loughlin, whatever. I don't need you in the cage. If there's some violence connected to you, if you're putting your hands on people, I need you in the cage. If you're not, I don't need you in the cage, but I'd like to come up with something better, something that works. You know, I don't want it to be a choice between in a cage or in your living room. I'd like there to be some restitution, something that you're doing.
It's weird that paying back your debt to society in a lot of ways is spending time in prison. It's like, well, if you literally have a debt to society, pay it back, figure out a way to get that back.
Yes, I don't know. Maybe we own your ass for 3 years. Maybe you're working picking up garbage like they do on the side of the freeway. Like maybe you're working putting out forest fires or digging fire lines. Like I know there's a kind of a furloughed work version of what we're talking about, and there's community hours, like how many hours did you get of community service and stuff. But I'd like to really extend it, which is I would like everybody, before you enter prison, for us to sort of give you a grade like we give restaurants in California, and if you're going to get an A, that means you didn't put your hands on anybody. That means this is fraud, whatever, welfare fraud, tax fraud, money laundering, like whatever you can do in the white collar world or the sort of blue collar version of this that doesn't involve you putting hands on people. We'll give you a grade. If you're an A or a B, you're not going to get incarcerated. We'll do something else with you. If you're a C or D, you're going in. It seems pretty basic to me. Yeah.
I mean, that's why they say, like, is this person a danger to themselves or others? If the answer is no, the answer is no.
Right. And they make the flight risk assessment all the time about is this guy, is he a flight risk? I feel like they could do it with it. Well, first things first. Why are you in front of a judge? Is it because you bonked someone over the head with a pipe, or is it because you fudged some shit on your tax forms?
Right.
That'll help.
Here?
Right. Yeah. How'd you get here will help.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, a little while back, it was fun to watch and then make fun of all the celebrities singing "Imagine" together because that was moving the needle. There's been a bit of a send up on that. Comedian David Cross shared a new montage, much like the Gal Gadot one, the star-studded "Imagine" video. Only this time has a little twist. The Arrested Development star gathered a lot of his comedian friends and actors, and they all did their version of another hit. Really close to home. People were very sincere about it. Here's just a snippet from the song that they did.
Don't want to argue, I don't want to debate. Don't want to hear about the kind of food you hate.
You won't get no dessert till you clean up your plate. So eat it.
I don't care if you're full, just
eat it. Eat it. Get yourself an egg.
And beat it.
Have some more chicken, have some more pie.
Have some more chicken, have some more pie.
Have some more chicken, have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Just eat it. Eat it.
So it's about, 2.5 minutes. It's funny. Bryan Cranston makes an appearance, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but at the very end, you get the man himself, Weird Al, closing the whole thing out. It's Cranston, Bob Odenkirk, Sarah Silverman, Al Franken, Jack Black, Rachel Bloom, Phil Rosenthal, so many. Then, of course, Weird Al at the end. Yeah. The video was done as a part of the Mr. Show Kids with Beards presents. Come join our Zoom-tacular annual business call. It's a charity special to raise money to fight the coronavirus, and it was cute.
I was had one of my text chains with Daniel and Jimmy and cousin Sal, and I don't know what we were talking about, but I was announced, I don't like knowing this much about celebrities. I said,
you watch TMZ every night.
I know. I don't want to. I'm compelled. I have to. I watch TMZ because it's funny. Your buddy Derek is funny. Like it's a legitimately. If you watch TMZ, it will have legitimately more laughs than your average half-hour sitcom does. It's a funny. It's a funny format. But because the stuff is just Nick Jonas's wife is pregnant. You know, it's just like I don't care about his wife being pregnant, but I like the commentary on it. But either way, I was writing. I think I wrote Jimmy and those guys. I said, I sort of grew up thinking that Rock Hudson was a lady killer and Paul Lynde was an improv master. Like, that's how I grew up. I didn't know they were both gay. I didn't know Paul was getting lines fed to him long before the show began of the questions. I just lived in a world where I said, that dude loves the ladies and that dude is lightning fast with a retort in the middle, riddle that Hollywood Square, in the middle of the Hollywood Square. And I kind of liked it that way. And so my 80-year-old grandpa liked it that way, too. He thought Paul Lynde was a genius, and he never stopped talking to me about how fast the guy was. And that's what he liked.
Fast and light on his feet.
And light on his feet. Prepared to sweep a woman away, even though he never does. All right, sorry. Where were we?
So speaking of all this poker talk, MGM Resorts International released a safety plan earlier for reopening the hotels and casinos. The plan includes closing buffets, which is just a shanda, heartbreaking, putting hand sanitizer on casino floors, encouraging social distancing. Some casinos could open up as early as June. The casino experience will be different. It'll be a little more complicated. Temperature checks, mandatory masks, plexiglass barriers, and fewer players at card tables, which I guess we could have asked the guest Brian might know, which I imagine would change the game quite a bit if you're only playing with, say, 3 people instead of 6 at blackjack.
Doesn't change blackjack not much or at all. Poker changes a little bit your strategy, but the cards are still cards.
Yeah, I mean, and just from my little blackjack experience, sometimes you'd sit down at a full table, sometimes you'd sit down with 2 people. Like it didn't. Yeah, they just you just got the cards.
Right.
It'll be interesting. I
imagine the dealers will appreciate the plexiglass.
My beloved craps. What's going to happen there? Because everyone's throwing chips on the table. The dealers are grabbing you know what I mean? That's actually something where you're all touching the same stuff.
You'll have a Pop-O-Matic bubble instead of throwing it.
Oh, God.
The Pop-O-Matic. Was that called Pop-O-Matic?
Wasn't it?
I kind of remember that.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there was a stupid game. There was a whole bunch
Boggle?
It Trouble had it.
There was a whole bunch of games where they had don't break the ice and don't spill the beans and and the operation and pop the ball. You would pop this clear yogurt cup, and it would pop the dice like it was a hermetically sealed roll of the dice.
Right.
All little rich for the Carollas.
Yeah,
but
Pop-O-Matic.
What was the game?
The game's called Trouble. It's by Pop-O-Matic.
Trouble.
Oh, it's by Pop-O-Matic. All right. Well, we've all graduated into something a little better, like. Did you know tomorrow is World Whiskey Day? Yes. Leave the games for the kids and let's enjoy World Whiskey Day, peoples. I am telling you. Great holiday. I'm glad to welcome the World Whiskey Day into my life and celebrate. Good time to connect with some friends and some family during the quarantine. Carolla Digital, we're celebrating over Zoom with a shot or 2 of Screwball whiskey. Everyone over here loves this stuff. It was the big hit of the Christmas party, and now it's coming back to conquer World Whiskey Day. Some of us will have a glass or 2, and we can't get enough of this stuff. So from all of us at Carolla Digital, we raise you a shot or a glass of Screwball. You can do it neat. You can do it over ice. Got the unique peanut butter taste. And enjoy yourself on World Whiskey Day, folks. All right, Gina, what else we got?
Do I got an outro?
I didn't see an outro. You got an outro?
Yeah. Screwball, the original and most awarded peanut butter whiskey, is now available near you. It's 70 proof. Screwball peanut butter whiskey is the perfect shot or perfect addition to your favorite cocktail. Pick it up at your local store. Get it delivered today. Ready to hashtag get screwed? Go to screwballwhiskey.com for more info. Enjoy responsibly. Advertisement by Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Marcos, California. Whiskey with natural flavors and caramel color. 35% alcohol by volume.
All right. What else we got, Gina?
A bit of sad news, actually. Singer Melissa Etheridge announced Wednesday that her and her filmmaker Julie Cypher's 21-year-old son Beckett has died from opioid addiction. Cypher gave birth to Beckett in 1998 after being artificially inseminated. And while Etheridge and Cypher initially kept the identity of the biological father a secret, it's later revealed it was singer David Crosby, who's also the biological father of their daughter, Bailey Jean. So that was tough on them.
Well, yeah, I heard some stories. I heard that was trending, and then Denzel Washington popped up on my screen. No, I was thinking about that. Like, you know, maybe I spent too much time with Dr. Drew, but the addiction gene.
I was gonna say, Crosby's famously an addict,
right?
I mean, you know, when you're dealing with that gene, it's like if the mom is an addict or the dad is an addict, then either way, or they're both addicts, it's like you got a 50-50 chance of getting it. And if you get it, you got it. And good luck. It's a battle. We all enjoy wine, you know, tequila, booze, whatever, beer, you know, whatever. We all reefer, whatever. But I don't think any of us really have the gene. When you have the gene, it takes over. And it's powerful, and it's often a death sentence. And so if you're looking for people to potentially provide the gene pool for your child, it seems going to the addict gene seems really
risky.
Really risky, but I don't know enough about it. I mean, maybe Drew would go, like what I'm saying is, you know, guys in amazing talent, amazing ability, and so you go, oh, that's great, but strong addict gene. Like, so, well, yes, go ahead.
Here's a question. This sounds so stupid because we've all been around Dr. Drew for so long that we just know this to be pretty much how it is. But is it accepted both medically and socially that like addiction comes from a gene? Like, as opposed, remember back in the day, oh, he loves the bottle too much. He just loves the bottle. It's like, no, he doesn't fucking love the bottle. The guy's got a fucking addiction.
Yeah. Essentially an allergy to alcohol.
I think it's accepted.
I assume, but I don't know.
Well, this is 21 years ago, but still seemed to be kind of common knowledge back then, but maybe that was just us where we were. But either way, it seems like while the talent and the musical talent part of that gene pool is super seductive, the addict part of that gene pool is probably seems like a red flag.
Yeah.
Sad. And also, you know, I don't know. I know we chalk everybody up, every senior's death who died of heart failure to the coronavirus. I don't know. Do we chalk this one up to the coronavirus as well? A lot of people are missing their meetings and shut in and going to places, going back to behaviors that weren't fantastic. There's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah. And I know that, you know, with certain anonymous groups, they're trying to do them on Zoom and they're trying to, but, you know, people who are used to, you know, if you're an addict, there's probably parts of your personality that are incredibly habitual. You do it this way for a reason. You have to replace it with something else. And I don't know if a Zoom meeting is cutting it for everybody.
Well, they're saying that, you know, calls to suicide hotlines are up 500% and blah, blah. There's a whole bunch of residual shit about locking people down that's not just pure safety. Some of them are going to OD. Some of them are going to commit suicide, spousal abuse, child abuse. It's just going to be more. It's not a black or white thing. It's not lock it down, no residue, or let everyone out, everyone dies. There's a lock it down, fine, but there's a bunch of stuff that's going to come along with that, and maybe this is some of it. All right. What else you got? Sad.
Well, stories of Ellen DeGeneres' alleged meanness continue to surface, and she has had enough. A source told Us Weekly, they said, Ellen is at the end of her rope. She thought this was all just sour grapes from a few haters, but it's not a passing thing. It just keeps coming.
She's wondering what she can do to make people stop thinking she's mean.
Well, the beauty influencer...
She needs to dance more. She's not dancing enough.
Nikki DeJager accused Ellen of being cold and distant. That happened in February. And then, if you'll remember, the comedian Kevin T. Porter asked people to share their stories about Ellen being one of the meanest people alive. He got more than 2,000 responses. Then this month, crew members began to speak out, crew members of her own show. Another source told Us Weekly that Ellen has been leaning on wife Portia de Rossi for support, and it's going to take a lot more than just a couple of disgruntled people to keep her down.
Well, God forbid she change her behavior.
Right.
She's got FME money, so she's got FM money. It's hard to get people to think. You can get people to think a certain way about you if you sit next to them on a shuttle going into LAX. From Wally Park. That's pretty easy. If they're going to work with you for a long period of time, or work for you, especially, they're going to start to form some opinions, and it's going to be a pretty good composite of who you are. And now they'll have opinions about working with Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon, and they'll have opinions about working with Ellen. But whatever they form, that's about it. I mean, I have the same thing. I'm the boss of a few people, and they'll think of me how I get them to think of me, which is sort of on me. Now,
well, that's like what you say, like, you will determine how I treat you. You will determine the relationship between us.
Yeah.
I'm
kind of like, you think about anyone who has come and gone through these doors. There's been a few names.
These hallowed halls.
You think about them, how they got you to think about them. Do you think you're wrong about any of them? Is there some other side of them that you'd never realized, or that you were way off, or that you just missed the mark? You can do a little, sometimes you round up, sometimes you round down, but you think about all the different individuals who are here currently, who were here in the past, who may be at the other shop. How do you think of them, and why?
Positively and negatively.
Yeah, either way. You guys think about Mike August one way, or Nate, or Chris, or Dawson, or whomever. That's about how they got you to think of them.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's not more of that. Everyone has a side to them that they sort of keep to themselves, that they don't necessarily reveal. That's fine. That's something you probably shouldn't be bringing into work. But in terms of your general affect, the way you deal with other people, and the way you deal when there's mishandling of something, or misscheduling of something, or the shit goes down a little bit, that's on display. That's how it works. How when somebody tells you, oh, I know I told you Monday. I know I told you it was this Monday, but it was next Monday. And then you go, oh, shit, I brought all my shit in because I thought it was this Monday. And they go, I know. They'll see how you respond to that. Good or bad, they will build a composite of who you are.
I will go full Mariah Carey on all of you if that ever happens.
Yeah. And
they're little tips, like, if somebody doesn't want to tell somebody something, like you tell somebody, you tell them we're not going. I'm not going to tell. Well, then that's saying something about that person.
Who's going to break the news?
Right. So,
yeah. What messenger is going to get shot?
Ellen, Letterman, Leno, Kimmel, who's going to walk into their office and tell them this disappointing news? And the answer is, well, for some of them, anyone will walk in their office and tell them that. And for others, you got to play rock, paper, scissors. And it is they who summon that in you. Right. That's what I'm saying. And again, it's not going to work for one night encounters or sitting next to someone in mass transit. But over a number of years, when you work with somebody, that's what you'll get. Just like you get the people who are on time, the people who are late, the people are, when you would know. For instance, if we have one of those, we have 8 people on the road and we're going to meet in the lobby at 5:30, and somebody said the night before when everyone was walking back to the room, one person is not going to be down here at 5:30 in the morning. Go ahead and circle the initials of the person. Everyone would circle the same initials. Right. So what happened? How do we know this? How are we imbibed with this? They taught us. They coached us up. They let us know. That's what humans do. Doesn't make that person a bad person, but the other 7 people would circle the same initials. That's all. Well, there you go.
It's only tangentially related, but I had this thought the other night as I was falling asleep, and it's related to people who used to be here and do things versus people who still are here and do things. You know what hasn't happened around here in a long time, and it's a credit to Kaylin. The bios have been on point. There's not been there was the time where the bios had a mistake on a daily basis, oftentimes multiple times a day, and the bios have been very, very good. So tip of the hat to Kaylin, who puts together the bios.
That's a very good point. Although Chris,
think about it. When's the last time there was a mistake?
No? All right. No, it hasn't. It used to be. It used to happen the day after I threw a small tantrum about things being screwed up on the person's website or something, like sending them to this website that was incorrect. And it used to happen on a daily basis, and now it's rare, if ever. It's a good point.
Credit where it's due.
All right, let me hit Tommy John here. Working from home used to be a fantasy. Turns out now it's not so comfortable, unless you're wearing Tommy John like I am. Something for everyone's home work situation. Super soft, breathable underwear. And you're sitting around answering emails. You want to be in your loungewear, which is the best. So soft. Right now, Tommy John's offering all customers 25% off site-wide. Upgrade and to the softest, most breathable fabrics you've ever owned. Tommy John, the underwear is great. The leggings are great. The tops are great. The loungewear is great. I think I'm wearing the T-shirt. The undershirts are great. They got the best pair you'll ever wear. It's free guarantee, right, Dawson?
Hurry to TommyJohn.com/Adam for 25% off your order. That's TommyJohn.com/Adam for 25% off orders. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
All right, Gina, what else we got?
Well, some bad news followed by a little bit of a burn salve for the bad news. Broadway's theaters will continue to be dark till at least September 6th. That's been announced by the Broadway League. The announcement did not come as a surprise to locals, considering New York and New Jersey remain very, very much hot spots for coronavirus. So basically, theater and Broadway is canceled for at least the summer. 2018-2019 Broadway season brought in 15 million people and $1.8 billion in gross revenue. And maybe because they felt sorry for us, and maybe because it's also a great business deal. The good news, and I'm sure Natalia is aware of this, 4th of July weekend, the film version of Hamilton will hit Disney Plus on July 3rd. It was actually filmed by the original Broadway cast in 2016, and it was supposed to go to movie theaters in October of 2021. But Disney head Bob Iger and creator Lin-Manuel Miranda announced this week that they will just release the movie on Disney Plus this July 3rd for everyone to enjoy.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
it's going to be all over that. Yeah.
I'm pretty psyched about this. I've never seen Hamilton. I've heard it's great. I had no plans of seeing it because tickets are hard to get. And this will be a serviceable version, I would imagine.
Oh, well, it's the original cast. It's
what I mean, filmed as opposed to being in the,
yeah, for sure. But it's very exciting because, any one of us who, everybody's familiar with it, and you go and you see a road show and you're excited, but you just keep thinking, oh man, I wish I was seeing Lin-Manuel Miranda. This is the original cast. So it's going to be very cool.
I realize this is my daughter's Schoolhouse Rock. The only thing I learned everything about a bill and about a conjunction and all that stuff from Schoolhouse Rock. That's right. That's how I learned it, and she probably learned
civics lessons.
Yeah, she's learned everything she needs to know about Hamilton from Hamilton. Makes sense.
Right.
Good. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Let's do one more.
You got it. So this is a tandem story. I'll just give you a double dose of Joe Exotic news real quick. He would like very much to be let out of prison, and he thinks he has a shot at a presidential pardon. This is according to TMZ. Tiger King star is having his legal team put together a file to send to Trump to show how he was wrongly convicted. Joe Exotic is currently serving 22 years in prison for a murder for hire plot to kill that bitch Carol Baskin, as well as other animal abuse charges. His team has purchased a bus, which is emblazoned with the slogan, President Trump, please pardon Joe Exotic, in the hopes it's going to get him to notice. But he's not letting the time do him, because now from prison, he has put out a clothing line. He's now partnered with O'Dane Watson from O'Dangerous Clothing. And the line sold out within hours of just this soft launch, brought in 20 grand in sales. T-shirts, hoodies, sweats, face masks. They all have a big tiger on them. And so he's really making some hay in there.
Is there any question that he commissioned a hit on her?
Not if you watch the documentary. They are quite clear about it. I mean, he shoots mannequins and he says, "This is you, Carol, and I'm going to kill you." And the guy who he commissioned
the mask is great, with a hand sticking out of the tiger's mouth. Was down to do it and then chickened out at the last minute. He was not. This was not clandestine. He was very loud about this. So they seem like they had enough to put him away. Plus animal abuse charges, which is a.
Does he have a version of this that holds together at all?
What do you mean?
I mean, he's
defense.
Does he? That's what I'm saying. Does he just say, "Yeah, I killed her. I got to go to jail"?
No, or I don't think so. I mean, I didn't like watching this docuseries. This was not for me. This was not made for me. So I was kind of watching it, half listening, but clearly not, because they put him away for 22 years. So whatever his defense was, it was paper thin.
Well, I mean, sometimes people go, "Here's where I was," or "Here's what happened," or "Here's something," there's some cases that are a little more open, cut and dried, and then they're open and shut. And then they're a little more where you kind of go, did that guy really do that or not? Like, they go, I don't know, the army surgeon who came home and his family was killed, and then he got accused of killing him, but he claims hippies came in and he had a abrasion on the back of his head, but it could have been like there wasn't any of that. It's just kind of like, seems like this guy did it.
It was a murder for hire plot. She didn't die. No one was murdered.
Oh, I mean, plot, right.
A little more nuanced, but he, I mean, if you
according to my new decree, he has to be let out of jail.
He
didn't put his hands on anyone.
Didn't put his hands. He tried. He hired someone to kill someone, and they didn't even do it. So
you got me there. Just keep them away from baby tigers.
Do we not want to watch guys like that because it's a weird neuroses on display that we're kind of being amused by, or what? I have no attraction to that kind of doc or that kind of series either. I'm loving the bejesus out of The Last Dance. Maybe it's just because I have no other reason to watch ESPN except for the cornholing, right? But
sure.
It may be in a vacuum of other things, sports things to watch, but I find myself really enjoying the Michael Jordan doc. But he's such So I guess what it is he's such an amazing. Yes, it's amazing. So I watch it that way. The fucked up people, like the Honey Boo Boos of the world. Like I'm like, they're a fucking mess. I get it. They're all over the place. Why do I need to study them? Do you guys feel that way?
This is a 1-2 punch, because I'm down with weird shit. I mean, if I've seen Gummo, I've seen The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. I see all these, John Waters, whatever. Get dark, get weird, get edgy, do your thing. This seemed like the sort of, I don't know, semi-polished, less interesting version of that. And by the way, the whole attraction is, these guys are so crazy. They're so edgy. They're such characters. I see enough characters. I that's not interesting to me. But also, you can make a very, very good case that they're all animal abusers, and I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch these tigers walking back and forth in cages, and I don't want to watch. I just don't. It's not entertaining to me. It's not fun. I'm sad.
Okay. Let's bring it home, Gina Grad, as long as you're sad.
I'm so sad. That kind of stuff just, I don't know, it's not for me.
I do. I don't like anything where they're like experimenting with animals, or look at this horrible footage we snuck into the Hormel factory.
Like when an orangutan gets an uppercut that he deserved.
Well, he was eyeballing Bobby Barasini. Sorry.
He's in the barrel.
I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Geico, everyone. You're sharing more these days, like your dance moves and the DIY haircut fails. How about Geico does a little sharing with you? Go to geico.com. /give back, and you can find out all about their program. 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers, because Geico's committed to the long haul. So they understand you're not long hauling it so much anymore, and they're going to kick a little something back to you. And it'll last your full policy at geico.com/give back. All right, let's see. I'm doing a live stream of Unprepared, the quarantine version of Unprepared. And we'll do that, and we'll put it up on the YouTube channel, so you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch as I take suggestions and do a home quarantine version of Unprepared. Now, if you want to see it live, go to Houston, May 21st through the 23rd. We're doing some live podcasting there, and I'll do some live stand-up and Unprepared there. All the money is going to the Houston Food Bank. And time to pre-order I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, available on Amazon. It's going to ship soon, so I think June 16th, so get in on that audiobook as well. Good Sports is coming up, and until next time, this is Adam Carolla for Gina Grad and Bald Bryan and Houston Curtis saying mahalo.